Hello and welcome to the Quever channel. I am Jason, your host. What is my biggest fear for 2025? Very simple. Lots of my benefits. If you know the political landscape in the UK at the moment, you'll know that disabled people and the amount they're costing the taxpayer and the government, we are being demonised massively this month. You will see lots of stories about how you get more money than a person who goes to work. Now, I'm going to tell you how much I get per month. I get £1,500 a month. That's about £500 from PIP, Personal Independence Payment. I get a severe disability premium, which is about 20% of the extra money, and then I have an amount of money to live on. So about £1,500 per month, and that seems a lot. And this is where they get the number, the idea that a person not working, lazing about at home, is getting £1,500. It's easy for them to twist you and make it look bad. But first of all, let's take the £550 or round about there. That there's the personal independence payment. That part shouldn't go on normal bills. It shouldn't go on any debts you have. It shouldn't go on any of your normal stuff. It is specifically that 35% extra is for you to remain independent. It is specifically for everything to do with your disability. Whatever your disability is, whether you're blind, quadriplegic, whether or not you can't hear, whether or not you've got eating issues or anxiety or anything, that 35% on top is there to help you navigate the world. Personal independence payment, to keep you independent. So a person like me doesn't end up in a psychiatric ward. So a person like me doesn't end up as an end-of-life event or on the street somewhere as a drug addict. The personal independent payment, and believe me, it has been proved, even though they're demonising it, they're trying to say that they're putting all these checks in places and they're going to review everything and they're going to cut everything and that and save money for the taxpayer. They're trying to say, but their own data that the Freedom of Information stuff made sure and the court cases forced them to show that less than 0.03% of fraud happens on PIP. Getting on PIP isn't easy. It's never been easy. Ever since Paola, it was called DLA back then, Disability Living Allowance, and it was never easy back then. Now, it's even worse. Nearly every single claim is denied, and you have to go through an appeal, which means you have to go in front of an adjudication set with 3 people in that who have to judge based on everything. You have to go through that. As a disabled person, you have to put yourself through that kind of stress, that kind of problems. When I was doing my stuff for it, I was contacted by 3 different people at the same time. Just let us know when it comes through and we'll sort out the appeal, because everybody expected it. I didn't, because back in 2019, I had 5 different mental health care professionals on my side, all telling the same story, that this person should not go to work, that this person shouldn't be doing anything like that. So, unfortunately, and then remember in 2019 when they got me on disability, on PIP, Personal Independence Payment, they also got me what's called a severe disability payment, which is a stipend which takes up another 20 or so % of the money. So that's £700 of the entire amount that is purely for my disability. That severe disability premium that they pay you per week on top of your normal money is because they judge you can't. I didn't ask for it. When I was put on the list, I was rang by the Department of Work and Pension themselves, and they said, listen, you've been flagged as being severely disabled. If you're okay with having that flag on the system, then I can add this premium thingy, because some people don't want to be classed as severely disabled. It's not one of the labels that you want. It's not something like it means basically you're never going to go work. You're screwed. When you're classed as severely disabled in that, and their own systems have flagged you for that. But this was back in 2019. So yeah, that is also a thing to say, okay, you've got other issues. That extra 20-30% is like, you've got other issues, you're going to have problems. Here's some more money to try and make sure that we don't have to send out people to look after you every day, because that's going to cost us more. And that's the idea of it. It's so hard because until people get to know me and see the challenges I deal with, they think, oh, look at him, he's sitting down there on his gamer chair with an arcade machine in the background with all that tech and that, and he's able to sit there and do this instead of going to work. Why the fuck should I have to go out work? Yeah. That's why it's so easy to demonize us. That's why it's so easy to make it look like we don't deserve it. It's an easy pot shot for the politicians at the moment. They haven't sorted out the math. They haven't sorted out everything. So therefore they're screwed. So yeah. Some days I barely function. I mean, I'm so lucky to have my mobility scooters now, and I can leave the house. Because normally I would never leave the house except for a CT scan, and even my blood tests. My doctors know I'm so bad that they come out to me to give me a blood test. I saw it as such a win last year that when they asked me, it was said we needed to give you a blood test, I said, I'm going to try come to the surgery. And he says, are you sure? Are you okay with that? He says, I'm going to try. I've got my mobility scooter and it's like my mobile safe space, and I feel okay when I'm riding it. So I'm going to try to make it there and get inside. And he says, oh, okay, we'll try it then. And I did, and I felt like such a fucking win. That was such a win to be able to travel from my house to because the last time I tried to go to, before mobility scooter, the last time I went to my doctors, I was so freaked out that they almost had to call the paramedics on me. My body was basically shutting down. I had a massive, terrible panic situation that caused a really bad attack, and I forgot how to breathe. My brain was so fucking overloaded that I forgot how to breathe, which wasn't good. So yeah, big win to be able to leave the house. But people don't see that. And the big problem now is this. Because they're doing this big review of disability. I mean, normally I don't have a problem. Even though it makes me nervous, normally I don't have a problem. It's like last year. Last year when I had to do my review with the DWP. Like I said, they don't just throw money at you. They don't just think you have the amount of reviews and that you have to go through and that. people who don't see it. And so the woman that gave me my review, I was so freaked out before that event. Oh, so fucking freaked out and out about all of it. And it was like, oh, what's going on? Will they take my money away from me? And by the end of the conversation with her, she was completely on my side, and she was the one who suggested, have you thought about trying to leave the house on a mobility scooter? She says, some of them are quite high technology, so with your affinity for technology, maybe you should leave the house. I mean, it wasn't the first thing, because she was also saying, have you thought of trying to use getting the higher mobility so you can get a car, so you can try and leave it? Some especially electric cars, their technology and that, you may be able to class it as a safe space. Of course, that didn't really work out, that idea, because I would have had to leave the car to get in places. But as we saw, my mobility scooter, freaking amazing. I can go places. But I've been signed off by all 5 of my mental health care professionals. They've signed off on me, which means they no longer treat me, because everything we do is working. There is no cure. There is no getting me to the point where I will be able to go to work. But we've got me to the point where I can function without being out of my head on medication. I can actually live more than survive. My ego was so boosted last year that I even went to my doctor and said, done all this. Do you think we can sort out whether or not I'd be able to get a job? And he was like, looked at me like I was actually crazy, and just shook his head and said, let's put this in perspective. I had images in my head of, I was so boosted. Granted, I was going through a bit of a hypermania with my bipolar, so I was really high up in the thing, and my brain was saying, I could do food delivery. I could do Uber Eats. I could go places on my mobility scooter and deliver food for people. I had divorced to a reality at that point in time. I was so buoyed up by all the things I was capable of that I actually, that did go through my head at the time. And that's why I still talk to my GP, and he put a, well, yeah. They are demonizing disabled people again, and they are making it out that our systems need to be cut and everything, that there's so much fraud in it and that. And I get the feeling that this year is going to be bad. It's a sword hanging over my head and others. But there's not much we can do about it. We're an easy target, because a lot of disabled people don't fight back. Now at 3 o'clock in the morning, this was freaking me out, so I started working on worst case scenarios. And what is the worst case scenario? How much could I live on? Well, worst case scenario, and I mean really worst case scenario, I could probably live on £200 a month. That would be just enough money for me to buy food for myself and the dog. Massively decreased the electricity costs in the house. Only use power trickle. Only use drop my electricity bill at the moment and other bill. My utilities bill comes to about £200 a month. I could drop that down to about £50 a month if I stopped using power in the house, except for solar power. I have 3 solar panels in the backyard. I have a couple of the solar panels out there, and there's a chance I could trickle feed it. I wouldn't be able to use this computer, of course. I'd have to shut all this stuff down. I'd have to shut down the heating. I'd have to shut down the security cameras around the house. I'd have to shut out everything except for probably using my little ThinkPad, which is a 65-watt SIM connection, and do everything on that. And powering it by the solar panels for 2-3 hours a day. This is the kind of thing that goes through my head when these bad things happen. It wouldn't be living, it'd be surviving. But there may come a day in my future when they do this, when I can't, when all it will take is meeting one reviewer of my stuff, because everything is working, because it all is keeping me going and that. It's like Paola. You see, Paola had an incurable cancer that was disabling her. The medication was, and she was dying. But every 2 years, she had to go through a review. And every single review, they tried to cut her money. Because I was the one looking after her, and we were looking after each other. And that we didn't need a nurse, except for in the last year, we didn't need nurses every day. We didn't think that I was trained myself up to do all those things for her. There wasn't the proof. And I'm in the same situation now. Even with all my vlogs and videos, they probably won't count them. And they're putting in rules where you have to have care professionals to sign off on you and all this kind of thing. But if they don't come to see me, if they don't need to come to see me because stuff is working, that my coping strategies are working, everything's keeping me stable and that, then the evidence I have slowly goes down each time they contact me, and their rules and requirements go up. And at some point in time, my ability to provide evidence and their requirements, these will go down and this will go up. And I will get a letter just letting me know that my money's been stopped. That's what went through my head at 3 a.m. this morning and woke me up, and I didn't go back to sleep, and it was freaking me the fuck out. Because things are going so well now. And this is when a person like me who has permanent depression and all that to do with bipolar, as well as everything else, I'm always expecting the other shoe to drop, as they say. I'm always expecting that when things are going well, something's bad's going to happen. And things are going well now? Think about it. I am able to leave the house on a mobility scooter. I am able to go places. It's too bloody cold at the moment, and it's pouring down outside, and it's too wet. But still, I can go places. I can leave my house and go to the local Tesco. This is something I couldn't do for like 4 years since Paola died. I have my computer system, I have my AI, I have my dogs, I have my friends on Discord. Everything is going fucking well. I'm happy. At least some of the times. And that's when the fear kicks in. Because then you've got so much more to lose. Not much anybody can do. All I can do is keep going day to day, keeping an eye on the news, seeing how this review goes. And I'm not the only one. There's a massive amount of people who are disabled who are so worried at the moment and in fear that their lifeline, that the thing that allows them to fucking survive, that gives them the little bit extra than thingy. What does my money go on at the moment, apart from technology and stuff like that? Well, it's simple. Anything that can keep my brain from waking me up at 3 a.m. and not letting me get back to fucking sleep. That is my goal. For example, I pay £42, I believe it is, to cover my gas central heating, my radiators, and all the internal pipe work, plus my fridge, freezer, my cooker, and my washer. All those things are covered by the 40 odd pounds per month. That means if any of them break or anything happens, it also has, every year I get a free inspection of my gas central heating and a free cleaning and inspection of the gas fire. So that 40 odd pounds is like a lifeline because it keeps peace of mind. I don't have the money to pay for a new washer. I don't have the money to pay for a new cooker or fridge freezer, and those are the primary utility items. But I've got this, if I pay this money per month, I've got peace of mind. I don't have to worry about, I don't wake up at 2 o'clock nervous, worrying what's going to happen if my freezer breaks down. I pay insurance on the house and contents, insurance and the insurance on the building and contents, and that's £89. As you can see, these things eat into the money quite a lot. I pay another £40 to cover the water pipes from my house to the edge of the property because they've broken before and because they're old and because they're deep down. And they are insured that if there's ever any backup or breakage or blocked thingy outside the property, it's covered by Severn Trent. But up to the property line, if you don't have this kind of cover, then you're fucked. You really are fucked. So that. And I've got a few other things like that that allow me to have peace of mind. I would have to shut all those off if anything happened to my thingy. Thankfully, I don't pay rent because this house is owned and there's no mortgage on it. So that is the peace of mind of that, or anyway. It's a challenge. It is a fucking challenge to try to keep it all going when the government seems to be demonising us. And people that say, oh, this person's got blah, blah, blah and that. Well, if you want to change places with me, I would love it. I would love to have less money if I didn't have all the baggage, if I didn't have the autism, if I didn't have the bipolar and I didn't have the ADHD. I would love to have less money if I could get up in the morning and remember to use the bathroom. I'd love to have less money. Oh, I give up that 40-50% extra that I in total get. I'd happily live on 50% less if I couldn't go 3, 4, 5 days and get constipated so much that I might have to go into hospital because I forget to use the bathroom and my brain is so busy it doesn't even think about it. I would give up all of that to be able to, if I could get up, put my clothes on, and remember to put new clothes on or to have a wash, without having to check my to-do list. There's a reason I have this. There's a reason. This isn't for fun. The bHaptic thing that I have here, it's not for fun. It's not for fun. The reason I have this playlist here, this to-do list here on here that reminds me to have a wash, to do the dog food, to make the bed, to do the recycling, to have a breakfast, to do lunch. And I don't always do them every day, but all these little things on here remind me to do things that I forget. I would give up all of my money and live in a forest somewhere if I could leave my house without having to get on a mobility scooter. If I could say, hey, you know what? I think I need a loaf of bread. Why don't I just put my shoes on, get my keys, walk out the door and go to the shop? I would give up all of that if I could do that. These people don't understand, never will. Anyway, this is Jason for the Quebber channel. This has been a ramble. Oh boy. Bye bye for now.